make some quick introductions and we can then jump in. So first, I'd like to introduce Chad Ackerman. Chad is a passive, he says passive, but there's nothing passive about Chad, real estate investor, educator. He is the founder of CARE, Chad Ackerman Real Estate. After 25 years in corporate HR, he started when he was 12. He realized his own financial future in paycheck. Realizing that led to him exploring passive investing, and eventually he co-founded Left Field Investors. Chad and I have spent the last, 20 months or so within our focal point community as business coaches. And so it's a pleasure to have Chad here on the panel supporting Men's Health Month. This is the last week of Men's Mental Health Month. So shout out to the men's mental health. Chad will be chatting with us about his perspectives on burnout and recovery. So we want to welcome Chad. Chad, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Fatima, and shout out to Rookie Coach of the Year this year, our own Fatima Nash. So I want to give some props where they're due.
We did not prep that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Then I'd like to jump to a very dear friend of mine turned college bestie turned client this past year. Tammy Burdick and I have spent 20 plus years talking about burnout survival. She is
you don't need to get into the length of time.
Yeah, it's the founder of Cornflower Social. She spent years doing all types of PR and marketing herself. And so she knows exactly what it takes to support our entrepreneurs in growing their social awareness. And I'm really blessed to have Tammy here. We have a couple war stories about stress management, and we'll jump into that today. I'd like to then introduce my girl, Alicia. Alicia is a 20-year Army vet, y'all. Like, she got triceps and biceps. Like, she knows how to deal with stress for reals. But most importantly, what Alicia brings to myself and to us in our practice is she teaches us the intersection between transition and grace. She teaches in her practice how to transition into anything, away from or going towards something. And she teaches us how to do it with a smile and grace on our face. So I'm very, very, very appreciative that Alicia is here. She's also serving as an ambassador with the American Corporate Partners and the Recruit Military, where she's working alongside of her veterans and her military connections to support their entrepreneurial success and their transition. So Alicia, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Norman. Coaches be coaching. Coach Norman and I go back a few years. He is a head football coach, mentor, leadership speaker who works tirelessly on culture, identity, and discipline in his sport. He knows very well the weight that emotions can carry with leaders behind the scenes, on the field, and in front of the screen. He is a former D1 student athlete from Middle Tennessee State University. Beyond the wins, Coach Washington, you can find him speaking very openly about the realities that men silently carry, the pressures of pushing through and always having to be strong. So I welcome my coach/client, Coach Washington. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you. Thank you for being on this outstanding panel.
Yes. All right. So let's get to it. Let's share some war stories. All right. So first off, anyone that is in earshot of this, y'all know that creating safety is super important to me. And the way that you create safety is to be truthful, authentic, and vulnerable. And so some of the things that I realized in my 20s when I was dealing with stress and burnout in the workplace, I would talk those things over in the break room. I would pop my gum and roll my eyes at the water cooler. In my 30s, I went to expensive lunches with the girls and chatted about my bosses and all the ways that I did not want to work with said leader for said reason or said customer for whatever reason. In my 40s, I realized that I needed community. I often thought, dang, what if there was a place where broken corporate employees can go and talk about their work issues like therapy? What if there was like, I don't know, a AA meeting or something for overachievers where they can go sit in a circle and talk about the challenges of being an overachiever in the workplace? And so with that in mind, I created Burnout Anonymous. It's a 12-step program that takes us through how to deal with stress and sustainability across all facets of your life. The 12 steps, you could follow them distinctly, or you can apply them to whatever burnout experience you may be having in your life. And we'll talk about what that looks like. So, interactive prompt, real quick. Drop in the chat. What's one word describing how you feel lately? I'm going to say hopelessly optimistic. Anyone in the chat, please jump in. Exhausted, overwhelmed, guarded belief. I know that's right, Mark. Encouraged. Yes, I love it. All right, I love it. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what burnout really looks like, right? Because I think people think burnout is your hair's on fire. You might be cursing up a storm. Maybe you're drinking a little too much. Maybe you're overindulging in ice cream late at night, or you're going on shopping sprees. If you're going on shopping sprees, you're with me, because I love to have retail therapy. But there are some parts of burnout, guys, that people don't really think it's burnout. They don't really consider it burnout. And one of these, before I turn it over to my girl Alicia, Coach Alicia, is I am generally a positive, bubbly person. When I walk into the grocery store, I'm smiling at people. I'm touching the fruit, talking to the grandmas. I'm helping people with, especially the older generation, helping them find things. Like, I'm just very approachable, even when I'm off. But I found when I'm really burning out, I'm not even smiling when I'm walking in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And then I'm wondering why I'm having a bad experience with the cashier. I'm wondering why I picked up the wrong items at the grocery store. Like, I didn't pick up the milk, for example, one time when I was creating this cake. I love homemade red velvet, and that is my jam. And so I remember going into the Food Lion and being so overwhelmed that I walked out the store with the main ingredient. So I didn't make the cake because y'all know I couldn't double back. But me having that burden of whatever was on my mind and not being my authentic self, I don't have good experiences when I'm carrying burnout. People think it's when you're screaming on Interstate 95, or when you are sharp with one of your kids, or when you're irritated, and that's showing up. For me, it shows up as dysfunction because I'm not being myself. So with that being said, Coach Alicia, I like to talk a little bit more beyond the cliche of burnout and talk really deeply about us and women and the pressures of carrying burnout and how that shows up in everyday life.
I'll tell my personal story. I think for us, it's the quiet. It's when you just dropped everything. Maybe you're not focusing on anything in particular right now. And that moment when you're sitting there and you're like, how did I get here? You're having these feelings and you can't describe them. You don't know who to talk to. You're not sure where to put them, but you know that things aren't working how you thought they should. And I think it was the quiet that scared me and also settled me at the same time, because I had to get real with myself. I can't keep running from the quiet. I can't keep running from the silence, because that is where the rest, the part that is really needed, needs to happen. And once I recognized that, it became easier to transition, right, between the two spaces. I stopped being busy for the sake of being busy because I was trying to run from something and I didn't realize it at the time. And now that I'm in a place where I find that peace actually a wonderful thing, I can sit in it and celebrate all the busy that I've been doing. I can celebrate all that I've been doing in the sense of I'm not pressured to get everything done perfectly. I'm not pressured to, show up for everyone else in real life. And I can lean on someone else's support and show up for me. And I think that was the hard part, is knowing that I
Agreed.
needed help and then asking for it. And the hardest part, receiving it. It's one thing to ask for, but when people are giving it to you and you don't take it, what are we doing here? And once I was able to close that loop, that's when things definitely transformed for me. So now I'm able to see, okay, you're carrying a little bit too much today. What are you going to do about it? Who are you going to reach out to? Who are you going to call? Hey, today's a Fatima call. Hey, today's a sister call, whatever it is. But having those people in your network and in your community is what really shifted it for me personally.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I heard you say was your quiet time. And so I think it's really important to highlight that it's okay for us to take a step back in all the different hats we wear and have quiet time. Before Coach Alicia, before you recognized you needed the quiet time, how were you showing up at work or in your personal life when you were experiencing burnout?
That's the thing. I didn't know I was experiencing burnout. It was when I stopped moving. That's when I crashed. I'm like, I'm crying, but why am I crying? What is
Got
what's
it.
going on here? You're not welcome.
Right.
And it was that realization that you've been carrying a lot for a long time.
Mhm.
When were you going to stop and recognize that? And sometimes, the body and life, God has a way of showing you whether you want to hear it or not. And maybe you don't think the timing is right. And I'll tell you, if you don't take the time to do it, the time when it happens won't be the right time for you. It's going to be
Yeah,
messing up your plans. You're going to be missing appointments. You're going to be messing up your schedule. And I think that's more stress than actually taking the time and building it in. So building it in before you need it. I think now I'm in more of a preemptive or getting ahead of it kind of space. When I feel like I think I recently discovered this. It was when I'm compensating in another area for something else that's lacking, I'm recognizing like I need to stop. Something else is going on over here because you're overdoing this one thing. Why are you doing that? And when I sit and actually peel those layers back, that's been a game changer for me because it's like, okay, you have 6 appointments on your schedule for tomorrow. Something has to be halved. Pick which ones you're going to take off, but something has to go. And it's not even taking it off, right? It's pushing it to another date. And when you just let people know that a few things are going on, I just need to open some space, a lot of people are really receptive of that. But you have to be. And and once you get out of your own way, that's when people are able to support you and help you.
I love that. I think the key takeaway for me was the listening to yourself and trusting what your body is telling you, right? Like oftentimes our body is educating us way in advance of our mind, and we just don't hear it. We don't pay attention. We don't accept it, and then we're in a world of trouble later. And I like to believe I'm a high achiever, overachiever, people pleaser, doing too much all the time. Think I can do all the things at one time. And for me, what shows up is lack of sleep. That is the first indication that I'm burnt out, is when I am going to bed at my normal time and I'm up in the middle of the night for 3 to 4 hours. And then that happens consecutively. That's how I know that I'm gonna blow soon. Like something's got to give. I go back. I'm a writer, so I have notebooks around me all the time, and there's always a lamp nearby me. So I will turn on the lamp and write it out to get it off my heart, so that I can try to get myself some rest. I got to tell you, you guys, I at this point in my career and what I've been doing as of late, I should not be nervous getting in front of anyone. And of course, I was up from like 1 to 5 this morning thinking about spending time with you guys. I was like, oh, am I experiencing burnout? I'm about to talk about burnout tomorrow. Am I burning out right now? Just in sheer of, wanting everything to go well and want folks to have a good experience. And sometimes we can want for others so much that we don't even realize what that's doing to us. And so just, a quick testimonial there. When I think about pressure, performance, and silence, I think from a woman's perspective, Coach Alicia, women sometimes, depending on your personality, we kind of show burnout differently, kind of shows up differently. And in my experience, I was raised with all boys and I have all boys. And so I don't have a lot of experience hanging out with women in the home environment other than my mom. So my case studies are the boys. And from what I can tell, burnout is like silent but deadly for the boys. And so I'd love for Coach Norman and Coach Chad to chat a little bit about burnout in leadership in sports. I'll turn it over to Coach Norman first, only because his experience being a head football coach and his D1 past has molded him to be a very strong but quiet leader. And I'd love to talk with him a little bit about the pressures of that silence and being the strong one and pushing through in performance-based society, and get his thoughts on that. Coach Norman?
Yes. So, the biggest thing that I think of, and, when you're talking about my profession of being a coach, I tell our players all the time, or tell people all the time, as young boys, we're always taught early on, hey, you can't be emotional. You can't cry. Kind of like you fall down, get back up. It's from an early age. Like we're not taught to how to process our emotions. So we kind of always go through the adolescence phases where it's always like some type of emotional outburst that, hey, we're trying to learn, but then someone said, hey, you can't have that. And then you get to a point of, hey, well, you have the stressors of life. Once you get to college, hey, it's not just you at hometown. You're off on your own trying to figure it out. You got practice, got all these different things. They ain't trying to manage school, and it's like you don't know which way to go, because when you were at home, you would come home to mom and dad, and it was kind of a little bit surrounded. When you go to college now, hey, you're learning how to become a man. You got more responsibilities that are going on. And I actually talked to my players about this and said, hey, at 18 in society, they look at us as adult men. Really, I mean, you can join the military, army, do all these different things, and they expect you to conduct yourself in the communities that you're going to as such. But when you're having these moments that way, you feel like, hey, you're being overwhelmed. How do you process it? How do you go through it? Mine's when I was a kid, I used to go outside and it was evolved around some type of sport. But what about when you no longer play a sport? What do you go and look to? Who do you talk to? And so when Alicia said, hey, you're a community that you have, me noticing that one thing that always remains true, and I'm not sure we have any mothers on here, but I know Fatima, you're a mom, when your son talks to you, like it's a certain, you say, hey, what's wrong? Like my mom still, I'm 36 now. And like, it's like the other week, mom was like, you all right? Like how you sound, just, you don't sound like your normal self. Like something's going on. And I was tired. Like I really was tired because I was thinking about everything that I have to do for my program. And I'm trying to take in consideration, hey, I got the trainers got to deal with, got to the boys, kind of make sure my coach is okay, stuff that we got to have for the program. I'm just thinking about everything I have to do for everybody else. But I wasn't taking that time to kind of like, hey, make sure I had time for myself, or even just kind of just a process. I just kind of just pile on work because it kind of turns into that, hey, I got this task and I'm so task oriented. I take a task off, then I add a task back there. So it's like nothing's ever being removed for me. So it's like I get burnt out just because of that, not celebrating the wins when I do complete something, say, okay, I can push that off to the next day. And then also just knowing like when I'm going through those moments or I'm feeling like I'm fatigued or tired, it comes down to trust. And in my profession, I have to trust a lot of people, but I'm being judged by the trust that I give everybody. So if someone falls short, well, it's not gonna look at, hey, that coach didn't do whatever he did, or that person didn't do that. That kid did that. Well, you're the head coach. You didn't get that job done. So you're judged off the results. What you have is for your team. So you kind of put that silent, unwanted pressure, like people are judging you to kind of make sure you are successful in what you're doing. So you're always analyzing everything. At least I do. And I've had, one burnout last year, first year head coach, and I literally passed out in the locker room. Like it was just, I was drained. Wasn't drinking enough water. That's why Coach Tima said something about water. And I just found myself, I was like a rat, just going on his wheel. I was constantly doing everything, washing clothes to, calling the offense, defense, getting practice scripts set up, kind of making sure stuff is done, planning for the trips and all that stuff. And I had to learn how to trust to tell somebody exactly what I needed from them so they can execute a job for me. And that's something that I'm having to learn for myself. Just being more trustful, everyone. I don't know about Chad, but that's just kind of my thought process on just kind of dealing with things from my perspective.
Yeah, I think you sit in a really interesting seat, sculpting young men like that and turning them over every 4 years. And you got brand new kids every year. So you have a volume that I'm not used to seeing by any means from living in the corporate world. But similar instances, I think you hit the nail on the head on a lot of things. In the corporate world, that burnout, I think, feeds into the breaking of trust in the corporate world. Then you lose that talented person potentially if you can't help them and get them back over their hump, over whatever they're dealing with. You lose them, and then the cost of bringing in a new person, getting them trained and everything else, it's so much cheaper just to help somebody out that's there, that you have faith in and has the skill set. You've been working with them and everything else. That it's a huge difference. So I wrote down trust because I was like, yeah, that definitely hits. I think the big thing that I saw in the corporate world too, that I think fits in this, burnout to me was linked to what my strengths were versus what my weaknesses were. And it's alignment to me. And corporate world loves to do their personality tests. Focal Point does this too. We do DISC analysis. But my favorite one was Stephen Covey's Strength Finders. And Strength Finders mapped out all your personality traits by how strong and natural they were. And the logic with it was lean into your strengths. Don't try to fix your weaknesses. Go find people that are better at your weaknesses than you are, because that misalignment is the battle. That's where the burnout, I think, comes from a lot of times, is you're trying to fix something that isn't natural to you. And it's an uphill battle for sure. But yeah, I think you sit in a very interesting seat, Coach Norman, that dealing with those kids all the time and seeing it. And, at a young age, we're told, oh, you're not old enough to be worn out. Keep going, just keep pushing. And that's dangerous, I think, too. In the corporate world, we know we gripe together. No, I'm exhausted too, but we still got to do this,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of ties into that, like, as athletics. I know I was always told that, hey, if I'm not working, there's somebody else that's working. While you're sleeping, somebody's working. So it's kind of like that same mindset that kind of seeps into whatever position that you go in. It doesn't have to be athletics, corporate world. It could be you being a manager or whatever. Like, you're an entrepreneur, especially being an entrepreneur. I think that's the same thing, because you're trying to get your business to be successful, and you want things to kind of go well, and you're trying to find all these different things that you can do to actually get to the end, what you want, which is the financial side of it. So it's now money is an amplifier to the things that you like and the things that you want. So what is going to help me get there? Well, I got to do these things. And if somebody's not doing it, well, you get out of the way and I'll just kind of go ahead and try to get it done, versus what you're saying, trust and, alignment. I mean, I think that's a huge thing, like knowing what you're aligned to do and finding other people that fits those spots for sure.
Yeah. I think it's a little generational too. I have kids that are in their 20s now, and I see a lot more, what I want to say, just recognition of this and the mental program. Just they're more open with it. I'm a Gen Xer. We bottled everything up, packed it away, and just, we deal with it. So I have hope that my kids are going to be a lot healthier than I was, because they're very much more comfortable talking about it and so forth, to a point where they've corrected me, like helped bring me along, of be a little more open-minded to it and so forth too. So I'm hoping it's a little more generational, that it's getting better than what my generation was anyway. But I don't know. You won't hear from us because we won't complain about it too much. But
I think in the workforce now, in how we talk about our feelings and everything just so differently than we used to, like in my 20s. Like, it's been a long time since I've been in my 20s. I feel like we are so much more open to taking breaks, raising our hand, asking for help, way more than when I was in my 20s. Like I remember sitting at my desk bawling because I couldn't get the work breakdown structure in my project plan to align correctly. And I'm sobbing at my desk like somebody is dying. And I refuse. People open workspace. They saw me crying. They walked past my desk. They probably was whispering, but I dare not raise my hand and ask for help. And that is one of the most probably what I don't have a lot of regrets, but what I think I should have done better early in my career is be okay with not knowing and ask for help. And that is step one in my Burnout Anonymous, is admitting that you need help, because that is the first step in identifying who you can delegate to, identifying how you can even trust yourself, right? Because if you could trust yourself enough to say, I ain't good at this, like I need to have a technical person on every single live event that I have, because I cannot manage technology and have a conversation with people. And I got to be okay that doesn't make me a loser. That's got to be okay that I am doing what I am supposed to do, right? Like the Alicia, what's the business model of three eyes of an entrepreneur? Three eyes of an entrepreneur. Chad, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, where you
yeah,
have your
yeah.
manager and your
The entrepreneur manager and what the worker bee one is.
tech, right? Yeah. And
Technician.
Tech,
so
yeah. Thank you.
learning that business concept with you guys over the last couple of years really helped me to be more confident and trust in myself that I can't do the things that the technical person and the manager could do. Like that's why you have people that are in those roles. You've got to use them and not think that you can be the jack of all trades and then feel bad when your Zoom crashes. Like you have to prepare, but you also have to trust yourself. And then that goes back to delegating, right? A lot of us leaders, and Coach Norman said it, I'd rather just do it myself. Coach Chad said, you're underperforming, but I'd rather just have you do it, because getting someone else in is going to take too much time, too much energy, and cost too much money. But the stress that takes is invisible on the leader. And so when you guys are out there feeling overwhelmed, you've got to trust yourself that you built the right process, that you know what you're doing, that you're talking the right talk to be able to delegate. Delegation to me is all about trusting yourself. If you know what you're doing, you can explain it to somebody else and they can do it too. When we think of going back to the males for a brief moment, when we think about the danger of performing as a male in our society, talk to me a little bit about how you guys, being both very successful in your individual careers, how have you been able to avoid the danger?
So I don't repeat.
Go ahead.
Repeat
Go ahead,
that one
Coach.
time. I was asking, can she repeat that question
Yeah.
again?
How do you avoid the danger of burning out as a male who has all the pressures, can't cry about it, dust it off mentality? How do you avoid those dangers? Like obviously, Coach Norman, you shared your health history, but beyond that, right? Even before it gets there, other than drinking water, what other things can males be doing, or things that you've done to support not being in the danger zone of burnout?
Gotcha. Chad, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So I think it's a great question. I feel like I sit in a lucky seat. I feel blessed that I am now at a point in my life. I had my burnout in the corporate world, and I hit my wall and felt like there was nothing left there, and was lucky enough to transition into this entrepreneurial world. The biggest difference to me is I'm passionate about what I'm doing now, and that drives me a lot more. That I'm working more hours now than I ever worked in my corporate life, but I'm throwing it. It's fun. It's enjoyable to me. It doesn't mean it's not a lot of work, and I'm not burning out at times here too, but it's a passion thing now that makes it different. It's tolerable, but I kind of prevent the real burnout through community. You hit it on the head early on with this. I've got my go-tos, you being one, to just, hey, you know what I'm experiencing. Mark, who's online with us here, he experienced it with me. But also just my buddies here that are doing their own businesses and things that we can get together and just share notes and, hey, you struggle with this? Have you ever tried that? You know, just to try to, hey, let's try to do this together and see if that helps and works out better. So I'm a big proponent of community by all means. And I think that comes really helpful in these kind of situations.
Completely agree. So it sounds like you have your own little Burnout Anonymous crew where you get
That's right.
together and share war stories and figure out how to solve. That's excellent. And I'm grateful to be a part of that community, Chad. I have used you as well, and I'll continue to do so. Coach Norman?
I'm a big like planner, like organizer. Like I gotta have like a time schedule, a time like something that's on it, because everything for me is all time sensitive. Like, but the biggest thing for me, I now try to lean on people just more so going out, taking assumption out of everything. I kind of say it with the kids when I coach, like I just assume you don't know. But then I also know like, hey, my coaches as well, like I'm just going to assume you don't know and just go ahead and tell you, hey, listen, you have this job, you have this job, you have this. And that's the person I'm going to about when things fall down or things don't work out. Hey, well, you need to kind of figure out how to be that, or get that done. And it's kind of a unique thing that when I talk to my coaches and I kind of tell them, hey, yes, I'm the head coach. I'm looking at this thing from a 60,000 foot view. I'm looking at everything for the program, what's going to allow it to be successful. But now you guys are here as coaches over your position group or whatever role I give you. And you're supposed to look at that from a 30,000 foot view and figure out like if there's something that's missing, you add value to that thing. I'm a big person of adding value. So I want to find people that are always looking to add some value. I know I can't find another coach that was like me, but one thing I do know is, hey, if know that I have a chance to grow, allow my coaches to grow in certain areas, ask them a little bit about what they want, but then give them a task that, hey, this has to be done. So the kids love structure. I think coaches love structure as well. Like everybody that's involved, if you're a part of an organization, you love the structure. Yeah, you may complain about, hey, you might have a day or two where you're not feeling like it, but you know that structure is there. Like that is something that's not going to change. Like everybody's going to do the same thing. This guy's doing the same thing as I'm doing. It may be a different role, a different task, but we're all doing the same thing for the greater cause. So that's something that I've done, like having stuff written out, trying to think of almost every little thing that I can up to my standpoint. And then I have a council of people that I find valuable that have shown me, hey, they kind of bought into my vision, talk to them, hey, what do you think about this? This is kind of like things that I think that we need. And they might, well, hey, coach, we need this right here to get done. So, okay, so then I write that down, and then we talk about coaches. And once I've had those conversations, hey, what do you really want to do with this whole end game? Because I think that's the other piece, finding out from your other leaders, other coaches, is what do you really want? What do you want to gain from this experience? I mean, of course, yes, you're working for me, but is it to grow and you become a head coach? Is it to grow to become a defensive coordinator? I mean, I told every coach I worked for, like I wanted to, once I figured I wanted to coach, hey, I want to become a head coach. And I know there's steps in order for me to do that. I want to learn every parts of the game that I can learn, but then I also want to learn like what helps make the whole program run. Like just knowing simple things like, hey, we got to wash uniforms. We can't practice the next day if it's not washed. So if somebody making sure that that's there for the boys. I mean, staff is real. So, I had it in college. So I'm just like, hey, we got to make sure that's done. Have we talked about like the buses? Like, hey, we got to take buses. Well, hey, I'm in a public school district. We got to make sure we have the buses rented out. Do we have all the proper paperwork put together, sent in? Like last year, I kind of found out we did it like the week right before the season started. This year, hey, we did that last week. So I already have all my buses planned out for this. I don't even have to think about that anymore. Like it's those things and getting a bus driver, like finding those little things that are there and then putting somebody over it. And hey, you say you want this opportunity. Well, hey, you have this. So now I just go back and just make sure and make little subtle adjustments and say, hey, well, now we need to do this. Hey, we need to do that. I'm trying to do a better job of coming to people not in front of everybody. Like call people out sometimes, but majority of the time, like bring them to a side and say, hey, you missed this or you missed that. We kind of need to get this done, and then kind of look at, hey, what are some other things that we could do to maybe change this process? because not every process is really a true good system that we have. So what systems that are broken or faulty right now that you think we should change? Because I want your input. I don't want to just think that, hey, I know everything. I'm not a know-it-all. I had to learn from people, and I feel like I learned from, I'm in that unique age where, hey, I always learn from a lot of older people, and now kind of the younger people are kind of teaching me things as well. So how can I have a healthy blend of that as well with my coaching staff, where I have a wide variety of guys that's 60, so I got like a 22, 23-year-old. So at some point, when I was young, I saw something different from my coach. Hey, it's called being a chief or an Indian. Am I the chief right here, or am I really the Indian? How can I allow the Indian to also feel like, hey, coach is trying to develop me to be a chief, and not just think that, hey, he's taking advantage of my time or not being considerate of the things I'm trying to pour into the program.
So it sounds like, in hearing about how you are avoiding burnout or avoiding stress, is one, you are being extremely organized. I have the pleasure of checking out this organizational structure that he put together. And when I tell you he can do a session on block scheduling, he has everything color coded. He has the time he's going to drink the water, the time he's going to eat for lunch, what he's going to eat for lunch. Like, it is, I mean, it is excellent. And so that's one. The second thing I heard that he mentioned is that, and this is very important, leaders, like super important. Burnout happens when you have too much on your plate as a leader. And coach said he pulls people to the side and gives them their expectations. That is managing your burnout, because if it all falls to you and you're thinking with the end in mind, and you're knowing you're going to need all these buses in 3 months, but now that paperwork is all done, well, guess what? That leaves room to really focus on the things that really matter the most during those times versus things that are administrative. But those little administrative things can get you caught up later. So think with the end in mind, use block scheduling, and use your resources. That's what I heard from Coach Norman. Thank you very much, Coach Norman, for that. So moving along, I have a question for our audience before I go to my girl, Tammy. What would you guys think about, or here's a poll, I apologize. What drains you guys the most? What drains you the most? So from a leadership perspective, from a parental perspective, a caregiver, entrepreneur, what drains you the most? I think for me, misaligned expectations. I've not done a good enough job in my life, across all pillars of my life, to give the right expectations to people, because that is a confidence thing for me. I sometimes don't want to give the expectation because I'm like, is this the right expectation to give? Am I doing all I'm supposed to do to even warrant this? And then it becomes a misalignment because I still keep going in that relationship or that situation. And if you don't have the right expectations, you're both speaking different languages. So to me, I think it would be misaligned expectations. Let's see, accounting, anything administrative? Yes. Yes, Alicia, you had something? All right, Tammy. As a reminder, Tammy and I go back to being at college together at VCU here in Richmond. And so I wanted to pick her brain a little bit about how she has triumphed in different stages of her life and how she's avoided burning out. So Tammy, could you describe for us your definition of burnout?
For me, burnout looks like I am just completely disengaged from the things that I know I love doing.
What does it
So,
feel like when you're disengaged? Yeah.
yeah, I go into this mode of, I don't want to, sometimes I call it cocooning. but it's very much everything is too much, and it's like I can't take in anything else, but I also can't do anything else. And so I almost go into this like protective stance of literally concluding myself in layers. I'm going to be in my room, right? I'm going to be under the covers,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely still going to have that screen on, right? Like, and that's usually when it all clicks of when it comes in doses. If it's in a small dose, okay, like I can get through that. But if that's been going on for a few days, then that's
Then you
when I
know.
can recognize this is more than just I'm tired and need a break. This is a little bit more serious. Yeah.
Yeah. So during those times, what symptoms did you ignore?
The things leading up to it tend to be, trouble sleeping, um, just feeling rushed all the time. Like I've got to get this thing done and I got to get this thing done. And I'm not even paying any attention to my to-do lists because I'm just going from one thing to the next. And everything goes from some sense of controlled chaos to like I'm just like trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, so as much as help, as much as you want to be able to delegate, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, as a single parent, sometimes it's just like it is just you. And you can delegate some stuff to your child. But it also depends on how old they are, how mature they are, how willing they are to take on the thing that you really, really need them to do.
Yes, I can
And
absolutely
so,
relate to that.
yeah, it just goes into all of the layers there. So, yeah, trying to navigate all of that, coming at it as a single parent plus entrepreneur, plus someone who is, 3 to 4 hours away from family, um, having to navigate all of that.
So when you think about navigation from a parent and entrepreneur perspective, can you describe to us what overfunctioning may look like? Like we know the standard answer, right? You're not sleeping, you're exhausted, you're not eating, you're not drinking water. But what other signs do people miss?
Yeah. I'd said it earlier and I'll say it again of just not doing the things that bring you joy. Whatever that is, whether that's, a creative hobby that you enjoy, maybe it's like a standard meeting or gathering that you go to on a regular basis with friends, all of those things that recharge you when you get to the point of saying like I'm too tired to go
Mhm.
to that, even though it's good for you. Any of those daily habits that you build into your day that once you realize that after, a couple of days, you've put those aside.
Does the over functioning look like success? Do you feel like you hit your revenue targets when you're over functioning? Do you feel like you're winning? Like what is that when you're burning out and you're cheating, right? That to me can also look like over functioning because I've been burnt out and had wonderful record months and completely burnt out at the end of it. So to me, sometimes just showing up in an over functioning state is a sure sign of being burnt out because you feel like you just have to keep doing it. You got to do the one more thing, and you got to keep going.
Yeah.
How does burnout affect relationships in your perspective?
Yeah. I would say definitely it's going to strain them, right? Because you're not showing up as the person that they know and care about. Those who are closest to us, they can see it. And hopefully they have an honest enough relationship with us where they're able to check in, just like Coach Norman was saying with his mom. you know, where she was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And, you know, and so much of that goes back to relationship of being, you know, that can go either way, right? Like you can have that open, honest, vulnerable relationship to be able to say, you know what, I'm not okay. Like, I'm really glad you said something. Or if that's something you're still struggling with, you know, that can also swing the other way where you like immediately put up your defenses and you're like, no, I'm fine.
100%.
Right.
Depends on who's asking too.
Right. Exactly. Well, and my friends joke with me, they know that I'm not okay. And I know you've heard me say this, Fatima, where I start saying, it's fine, I'm fine. Like everything is like if I say I'm fine too many times, they start laughing and they're like, girl, what is going on? Like, you're doing too much.
100%. Yes. And you have said
Yeah,
that for like, 30 years. Um,
it's true.
so moving on to just some quick core concepts. Step one in the Burnout Anonymous is admitting that you're burning out, admitting that you're exhausted. Step five is another good one I would want the audience to take away is tell the truth about what you're hiding. You don't have to tell Facebook, you don't have to tell Instagram or LinkedIn. You need to tell yourself because yourself is the only one that matters. Step seven, we said this earlier, but ask for help, delegate without an apology. And I got to tell you, step 12 is my absolute favorite. And this is why I do this work is helping someone else heal. When I feel like I'm helping someone else, it really does make me feel like I am beating burnout. It makes me feel like I'm able to win and heal by seeing someone else and their achievements. It just brings me so much joy. Okay, so I'm gonna do a round robin really quickly here. Based on the panelists' success in their personal and in their careers and avoiding being burnt totally out. Coach Norman shared earlier, and so I'll have him go last. But what does recovery look like now? Coach Norman mentioned the delegation, the calendar, the setting the right expectations. But what other ways have you guys learned over your course of time on recovery when dealing with burnout? Coach Alicia?
I think that's just it. We keep trying to put ourselves in everybody else's box, everybody else's way of doing things. We want to keep up with the social medias out there and they live their best life. Why can't I live that? Stop comparing yourself with everyone else. You need to do a check-in with yourself. I'm a big fan of self-leadership. If you can't lead yourself, how do you expect to lead someone else? And the other part of that is people are watching. You may have children in your house watching. They're seeing everything you're doing. You may not mean to, but you're doing it and you're showing them exactly how to be. And I really think it's finding out what your rhythm is, or like we say in the military, battle rhythm. Whatever your battle rhythm is, that's what you groove to, that's what you work to until it doesn't work anymore. Kiki Shepard said a quote the other day that I've like listened and I've actually said on repeat. And it's survival can be so effective, you don't even realize when it's no longer needed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been in survival mode for so long that you don't realize when the time is to take a rest or take a break, and you skip past that part. You don't celebrate your wins because you keep moving the goalpost. It's a lot of it's self-inflicted, but if you don't change and figure out what your rhythm is, no one else can help you. So I just want to encourage everyone to start with self. Do a body scan, do a mindset scan. And that's one of my favorite things to do to start my day. I check in with Alicia. What do you want for today? One, right? And then what is it going to take to get there? I check in with myself emotionally, spiritually, physically, and psychologically, and I really see where I am. And if I'm not ready to show up and conquer the world at my best, then something needs to change. What is that thing that's going to reset you? And
I
just
love
figuring
that.
those things out one day at a time. Don't try to do it all at once because the overwhelm is real. And if you're constantly trying to make things perfect, you'll do nothing. And I think that's where a lot of us struggle. Stop trying to get to perfect. Just get to
Right.
progress.
Yes.
You got this.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. That's a very good point. Um, self. We were taught so many times in our lives that we couldn't be selfish and self was bad. Self is the best. Like you put your mask on first. How else are you going to learn how to save others if you can't save yourself? Coach Chad, when you think about the work that you do, and you think about why boundaries are super, super important, when you think about recovery in corporate America, or even in your coaching practice, what boundaries have you had to set that was the hardest when dealing with avoiding burnout?
That's a good question. To me, I get very tactical when I notice I'm in burnout or heading that way. It shows up to me because I feel busy but not productive, and that's when I'll be able to self-recognize, as Coach Alicia saying, I'll be able to self-check and catch this. And then it gets very tactical to me of, okay, pause, slow down, write down 3 things you want to get done today, and just be happy and celebrate you got those 3 things done if you get to them. And it's okay not to get all 3 of them done. If something comes up, and give yourself permission not to beat yourself up over not getting the 3 done. But I get tactical with it. I try to just boil it down to the smallest square, and it helps me process, and everybody's different, but that's how I get. So that kind of is where I see myself go when I get into that phase of approaching burnout. And again, being a Gen Xer, I've done this enough now that I notice it. So I'm like, Chad, you need to, like, this is important. You know where this goes. If you don't, yes, exactly. So
We all need to be told that sometime, right?
Yes, yes.
Tammy, actually, Coach Norman, what do high achievers misunderstand about healing when it comes to recovery from burnout?
You said what
do they misunderstand about healing? What do high achievers misunderstand?
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what Alicia said earlier, where she was talking about, starting with self, resetting. I think for me, a lot of times you can be judged by what you're passionate about. I know we talked about passion on here, what you love. And sometimes you get penalized for it. And I had a great professor when I was in college told me, you'll find out what you're passionate about when you're willing to do something, go travel across state lines to do it for free. And that's when you know that, like, that's what you truly love and you're passionate. It doesn't feel like work. You're just doing it, just because that's what you enjoy doing. And that's kind of how I fell into coaching, from that standpoint, because I actually was in the corporate world dealing with finance before. And so the part where it gets into the healing part is, and I kind of said in here, I saw your question about what's the thing that stopped apologizing for. The thing is that you always apologize for it. Like, apologizing about what I'm passionate about. The healing part is accepting that, hey, this is what I'm passionate about. This is who I am. I'm not going to change that to make you feel comfortable. I'm not going to make myself feel any smaller by who I am and what I love because, hey, you don't think this is necessary or is important to you. This is important to me, so I love it. This is what I love doing. This is who I am, and healing is just that acceptance of myself. What do I really like doing? So when you have that thing that we talked about, I mean, I think Alicia, and then I heard Chad say something like, hey, what are the 3 things I want to do? And then Alicia, hey, what do I want? Like that mindset, like that. I feel like that is healing because that's you talking to yourself, that you put in the atmosphere, but you're having a conversation with yourself, kind of setting the precedence for what are you trying to accomplish for the day. And I think that helps out. That's been good for me for my own healing process. Because I can get down into the minutiae of like football. I mean, I can watch it. I love going to games. I like doing it. You ask me what my hobbies are, it's going to be something dealing around something like that. Like it's kind of one of those deals. And I see it as a hobby. I really don't see it as a job. So, but others see it as, hey, you put all this time in, you're working. And it's like, no, it's actually fun. I actually like doing it. enjoy all the different connections, the different people that I meet. It's football and sports is always like you have so many different unique walks of life. So everybody has different circumstances. I like being around it. I'm a people person. So I had to learn like, hey, you don't like sitting in the office all day. You actually like being around people. What's the one place I don't be around people a lot? Well, coaching football, I got 140 something kids. And then I got 20 something coaches. I mean, I'm around almost 160 people daily and I'm having different conversations and I like engaging in that and also try to kind of give some wisdom or, hey, I'm also learning from them. So it's not just a give. It's also I take as well some things that they may give me, just a new perspective. But that'd be my answer to your question.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Tammy, what does recovery look like for you?
Recovery for me, honestly, I think it really started a few years ago when I really did some really solid self-leadership work. And so when Alicia was talking about that, I was like, yes, absolutely. And I think one of the most powerful exercises I ever did was write your own eulogy.
Oh, wow.
What is it that you want the impact of your life to be? Because you can buy like all the 1 year planners and do all the quarterly planning, and it tends to be very work, money oriented. But what do you want the impact of your life to be? And then breaking it down. Like, what do you need to do in 10 years? What do you need to do in 5? Like, what does this next year look like to get you towards that big goal? Because I think we can get so caught up in what does our house look like? What is our bank account? Do I have a car that, my friends think is cool? I live in the middle of nowhere intentionally. And I love every moment of it. Like Fatima girl, you were like 3 hours away. But I also know that my friends that love me will be there in a heartbeat. And Fatima has done that for me, where she has been there in those critical moments. So I don't need to, I just need to be like a phone call away.
Right. Technology
You
can do that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like recovery is about community,
Yeah.
trusting yourself, self leadership. Like I love that. I might have to borrow that, Coach Alicia.
Good habit.
And expectation setting with yourself.
Yeah.
I know that we're over time. I did not want to stop the phenomenal dialogue. Thanks to my girl Rabia, she dropped in our contact information. Panelists, thank you very much for your time. Audience, I hope that you gained something from these unique experiences on how to avoid burnout. I know I did. I have a whole page of notes. Looks like maybe book 2 might need to come out now since I have all of these nuggets from all these coaches. So I thank you very much, everyone, for spending time with me and talking about how to avoid burnout. Until next time, thank you. Hey, if no one told you lately, let me be the first. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through exhaustion. And you don't have to recover alone. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I really hope that this conversation becomes the beginning of a different way of leading yourself. One where your success is no longer comes at the expense of your well-being. Until next time, please take care of yourself because people who need you most need the healthiest version of you. And if you need help, I'm one click away. Thank you. Please stay burnout free. Love y'all. Fatima.